Hi everyone, it's Miss Burris. Today I'm going to be teaching you your reading lesson. So before we get started, every day when we have any sort of reading, writing, or math lesson, we're going to start with our learning targets. So what are we learning today? I have up here on the board, if you want to follow along with me, I am learning to ask and answer questions about my reading. So today we're going to start with making a fun anchor chart in your reading notebook. So if you do not have your reading notebook and a pencil, I want you to pause the video and go get those materials now. So again, you need your reading notebook and a pencil for today's reading lesson. Go ahead and pause the video and get those if you do not have them. If you do have them, we're going to go ahead and get started. So when you are reading, a good reader is always thinking and asking themselves questions as they read. So in your notebook, I want you to open up to the first clean page that you have. You may have already used a page for writing this morning, and this is going to be like Miss Burris's notebook, okay? So I have my paper up here, and we are going to make an anchor chart together about what makes a good reader by asking and answering questions while we're reading. Okay, so go ahead and open up your notebook page, and the very first thing that we're going to do is put the date at the top. So at the very top, I'm going to actually write mine on the board, but at the very top of your notebook page, I want you to write that it is 9/2/20. It is September the 2nd of 2020. All right, once you have that on your paper, we're gonna go ahead and get started with our anchor chart. So I'm gonna be kind of turned around in writing, and then I'll turn back to you all. So the first thing we're gonna write at the top of our paper has to do with our learning target, and we're gonna write, good readers ask questions. It's so important while you're reading to be asking yourself questions so that you understand a story better. So I'm going to go ahead and write that on my paper, and I want you to copy my paper onto your notebook as I'm writing. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video and copy my paper at any time. So I'm going to write, good readers ask and I'm going to change colors because this is the most important word. Good readers ask questions. Messed my E up a little bit. I'm just gonna underline that. So on my paper, I wanna put good readers ask questions. Good readers ask questions. I'm gonna give you just a second to copy that on your paper. Again, if you need to pause the video to copy this, please go ahead and do that. All right, so today we are going to be talking about the 5 W questions. You may have heard these in kindergarten or first grade. It's things that we should always be thinking as a reader. You've probably heard them in reading groups before from your reading group teacher last year. So right here below questions, I'm going to write the 5 W's so I can remember the 5 W questions. And I'm putting this little box around it because this is really important and I want to remember it. I will be out of your way in just a second so you can see. All right. So good readers ask questions, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 W questions. Okay, the first W question that we're going to talk about, if you want to pause it and try to guess them, you can. So go ahead and pause the video and think out loud to yourself, what are the 5 W questions? All right, did you think about it? What are the 5 W's? The first one is going to be who. So I'm going to write who on my paper with a question mark under it. And I want you to underline it. And then I'm going to write what who means. So when I'm thinking about reading a story, what does who mean? Who questions usually mean that they're talking about a person or sometimes just a character. So I'm going to write a person or character. And remember, you can pause this at any time if I'm going a little bit too fast for you. Okay, my next question word that I want to think about is going to be, pause the video, what do you think? Can you guess one of them? Did you guess it right? My next one is going to be where. So I want you to write where on your paper. And underline it for me. Now when I think about where, when I'm thinking about reading a story, I'm going to think about a place. And when I think about the place, that word is also called the setting. So I'm thinking about the setting. Where is my story taking place? Sometimes a story won't always tell you where the story is happening, and you have to use your picture clues in your brain to think about where is my setting. So I'm going to put a place, and then I'm going to put a slash and put the setting. Remember, I want you to be copying this. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video to copy it down. Okay, our next question word is going to be, can you guess it? When. So when I think about when, I want you to write the word when. When. All right. When is my story happening? It might be happening in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, or it could be a specific time period. So maybe it's happening during the Civil War, or maybe it's happening today in the present time. So when I think about when, I'm thinking about a time. When did it take place? It could also mean a time on the clock. So did it happen at 6 o'clock? Did it happen at 7 o'clock? Time could mean a bunch of different things. So I want you to copy on your paper a time. All right, we have 2 W questions left. Can you think of them? We're getting to the most important ones. Our next one is going to be, can you guess it? What? All right, so I want you to write what on your paper. All right, so when I'm talking about what, I'm usually thinking about nouns or actions, which can also be called verbs. So what are the people in my story doing? What is happening? Are they swimming? Are they running? Are they eating? Are they spending time with family? That's what I'm going to think about as a reader when I'm reading my story and thinking about what. I'm going to move my paper a little bit to write this one. So I want you to write nouns or actions. If you can't see my paper the best right now, I will scoot the camera up so you can see it really close when I'm finished writing. All right, so there's what. And then my last question word that we have, in my opinion, this is the most important one. This is what we always want to be thinking about as readers, and that word is why. So I want you to write why on your paper. Okay, so when we have why questions, we are thinking about the reason or the purpose of the story. So we're gonna write reason or purpose to help ourselves remember that. If you need to pause the video to finish writing, you can. Remember, I'll also move the camera up at the end so you can see, but these are our 5W questions, and this is what we want to think about as a reader while we're reading a story. This is what we're going to be discussing this week and next week in reading, so make sure you have this down in your notebook to help yourself remember and be a good reader as you're reading. I'm going to scoot the camera up now, and I'll also post a picture of this so you can see it as well. All right, so you can go ahead and pause the video right here, and you should be able to copy our anchor chart. Make sure you have this in your notebook.